McGraw-Hill Professional presents The Power of Community: How Phenomenal Leaders Inspire Their Teams, Wow Their Customers, and Make Bigger Profits. Written by Howard Partridge. Narrated by Michael Anthony. Foreword by Brian Tracy, author of Full Engagement: Inspire, Motivate, and Bring Out the Best in Your People. Why are some companies more successful and profitable than others? Having studied thousands of companies around the globe for decades, I've found that the answer is simple. The best companies have the best managers. As a result, the best companies have the best people, and that means people who consistently outthink, outcompete, and outperform their competitors. In your workplace today, the people around you do their jobs because they want to, not because they have to. They do their jobs well because they feel internally challenged and externally appreciated. People respect their jobs and treat their companies well because you respect them and you treat them well. Your job is to create a work environment where the negative factors that detract from performance are taken away. The neutral factors that are the minimum essentials of a job are satisfied, and the motivators are maximized. In this environment, people will be internally motivated and stimulated to make the most valuable contribution to your company that they possibly can. Here's a valuable lesson I learned many years ago. The way you treat people, what you say and do that affects them emotionally, is more important in bringing out the best in people than all the education, intelligence, or experience you might have at doing your job. The best news of all is that because you are motivated and influenced by the same things other people are, you already know everything you need to know to become an outstanding manager. You already know how to unlock the potential of the people around you, how to build a peak performance team that delivers consistently high levels of results for your company. You just need to apply it. The power of community will help you have a very successful organization. Introduction: A longing for belonging. Every human being has a longing for belonging. We all want to feel loved, accepted, and validated. We want to feel that our lives matter. Deep down, we want to belong to something bigger than ourselves. We want to make a positive difference. Today, we are more connected digitally than ever before, yet we often feel more isolated and disconnected personally than ever. This sense of isolation not only affects our personal lives, but dramatically affects our work life as well. The ongoing Gallup Employee Engagement Poll reveals that 70% of American workers are disengaged from their work. Perhaps even more disturbing, 18% of those workers are actively disengaged, meaning they are actually working against the success of the company. Not surprisingly, this lack of positive purpose bleeds over from employees to customers and has a serious negative impact on our organizations. There is, however, one simple concept by which leaders can re-engage their team members and transform their businesses to be phenomenally successful. That concept is community, and that's what the power of community is all about. This book will show you how to build a sense of community in your organization that not only will help you engage your team, but will create more loyal and devoted clients in the process, which in turn will create higher returns for your organization. Community has many meanings for many people. We often use it to refer to a neighborhood or local area, and we sometimes refer to an ethnic group as a community, but the kind of community we are talking about goes much deeper than just a neighborhood or a group of people. It's about the sense of belonging that all humans hunger for, the need to be connected to one another, the deep desire to be a part of something meaningful, something that makes a difference. This longing for belonging can have either positive or negative consequences. It is the reason people join clubs and do volunteer work, and it is also the reason people join gangs. Our own families are the first communities we belong to, but the family community that existed, for some, in the pre-modern world seems to be much rarer now. Some may never have had the benefit of a loving community around them, and the idea of being deeply involved in our family members' lives, enjoying one another's successes, and enduring one another's failures seems to have largely disappeared. Some argue whether this sense of community ever really existed. After all, every family has endured some kind of trouble. Divorce, scandal, addictions, and a variety of issues have plagued many families in the past. And of course, the entirety of human history is littered with injustices, whether it be slavery, war, or corruption. However, many people felt a sense of community as they grew up. At one time, a child could walk the streets of New York City in relative safety. However, today you wouldn't allow a 10-year-old to walk a block in most cities. Ironically, at the same time, our children are heavily influenced by a media of strangers lurking behind the screen they hold in their hand. Unfortunately, losing the sense of community in our culture has spilled over into virtually every other aspect of our lives, including our business lives. As a result, our organizations today mirror the detachment many feel. Yet, as we pursue our individual agendas, deep down we all long to experience community. And not only those of us who remember feeling a sense of community in the past yearn for it. Many of our younger people, today's new workforce, may never have felt this sense of belonging, but they long for it, like everyone else. The need for community and connectedness is built into all humans. A genuine community is a group of people who belong to one another. True community is a group of people who are committed to one another in every possible way. They share the same vision and values in life. They care for one another deeply. Someone you're in community with would get up in the middle of the night for you for any reason. Social media gives us a sense of connectedness, but a virtual community is an oxymoron. True community requires the human touch. In the digital age, many young people have never felt true community or the love and encouragement that true community can bring, but they long for it. Everyone does. They may not know what to call it or even how to explain it, but the feeling is there. Like everyone else, they crave appreciation and recognition. Even the number of likes and retweets on social media are important to them. Deep down, whether they know it or not, every human being wants to make a positive difference. We want our lives to matter. We all have a longing for belonging. Business owners and managers who understand and implement the principles of building community within their organizations can help their team members experience a feeling of being truly connected and valued, a sense of being part of something bigger than themselves. In return, those employees will love being part of the company and will be more likely to treat others with respect and appreciation. That, in turn, will create loyal customers and, ultimately, bigger profits for the organization. In order to help leaders achieve this goal, the power of community takes you through the process of building a sense of community in your organization, both internally and externally. You'll learn what phenomenal leaders do and how to create a rich environment of support, encouragement, and accountability that will inspire your team, wow your customers, and make your organization bigger profits. You'll then learn the 6 steps to building community and what phenomenal leaders do to create community in their organizations. 1. Value true community. Phenomenal leaders value others. 2. Pursue champion connections. Phenomenal leaders serve others. 3. Inspire emotional trust. Phenomenal leaders care for others. 4. Practice gift exchange. Phenomenal leaders develop others. 5. Invite open-hearted encounters. Phenomenal leaders love others. 6. Build growth pods. Phenomenal leaders coach others. Next, we will look at the building blocks for systematizing your community. Every tribe and every community has its way of doing things that must be identified and communicated by the leaders of the organization. In this section, you'll learn the 5 P's of building your community system. 1. Purpose. Why your community exists. 2. Positions. The roles of the team members. 3. PRD. Performance Results Descriptions. What each team member is responsible for. 4. Policies. The rules of the game. 5. Procedures. The team playbook. Finally, you'll discover how to create a meaningful community brand experience for your customer, client, patient, member, or guest that generates tremendous loyalty and an increased number of referrals. As a business owner for over 33 years, I've practiced these steps, and for over 2 decades I have helped small business owners around the world in hundreds of industries implement the principles outlined in this book with phenomenal success. This book offers practical, real-life examples that will enable you as a business owner or manager to understand what community really is and how it can be applied in your business or organization. But most important, it will show you how to reap the 3 big rewards of building community: inspired, engaged team members, happy, loyal clients, and increased, healthier profits. Chapter 1. Why we need community. Have you ever been in the same room with someone who is plugged into his or her phone and not paying attention to you? Have you ever been that person? I have. Today, more than ever before, strangers on a screen influence people's minds, molding their beliefs, instilling fear rather than hope. Communication has been reduced to emails, instant messages, sound bites, and tweets. A couple of years ago, I was on the balcony of my hotel room in Clearwater Beach, sipping a cup of coffee. Looking down from the 10th floor, I could see an employee of the hotel who was supposed to be washing off the boardwalk with a garden hose. The reason I knew she was supposed to be doing that is there was a garden hose in her left hand with water coming out of it. But in her right hand was her phone, which she was much more interested in. Each time she looked at her phone to scroll, the garden hose strayed off course into the bushes rather than washing the sand off the walkway. The challenge for leaders today is to make our work more compelling than whatever is happening in the media or what's happening on a team member's screen. That's a tall order and a big part of the reason we need a sense of community in our workplaces. Not that we can compete with a person's social connections or the seductive power of the media, but we can make our work so meaningful to our team members that they will engage at an unprecedented level. Building a sense of belonging, a sense of community, in our companies is the answer. In the introduction, I mentioned the staggering employee engagement statistics. A study by psychologist Michelle McQuaid showed that many employees would pass on a 20% raise in order to get their boss fired. That means that an employee making $30,000 per year is willing to give up $6,000 every year just to get rid of his or her manager. Recently, a Yelp employee's blog post went viral when she complained about not being able to pay her bills while the CEO made millions of dollars per year. Even though she got some deserved feedback about being more responsible, the fact is that she didn't feel cared for and felt the only way to vent her frustration was to post on her blog. A few years ago, ABC's 2020 did a special on how disgruntled employees quit their jobs in flamboyant ways. One hired a marching band to follow him into the manager's office and filmed the occasion. Another guy stood on a table in a crowded lunchroom and tugged his shirt open to reveal, "I quit," marked on his chest with a big black marker. Everyone cheered. Although achieving true community in a company may seem unrealistic and maybe even unnecessary to you, The benefits of intentionally creating a culture of community that can lead to true community are worth pursuing. Having a team that is truly engaged and inspired can do wonders for any organization. An involved team will have less stress and conflict, and they will take great care of your clients, which in turn creates bigger profits for your organization. Author Jim Collins observed that meaningful work equals a meaningful life. The reason we need community is to re-engage our team members. It's the only weapon powerful enough to disrupt the digital disconnect that happens in every company today. All leadership experts agree that culture is the most important thing in any business. This book is about defining your culture and creating a sense of belonging by creating a culture of community. I've seen the benefits of this level of belonging in my own companies as well as my clients' companies around the world. It can be done, but it doesn't happen naturally. The only way to get there is to intentionally create it. It will be challenging, but it will be worth the effort, as you'll have something very few companies have. The challenge when bringing people together in the world today is that each of us has different values, a different personality, and different ways of dealing with conflict. Each one of us has a different vision of the way work and life should be. We have all learned different ways of communicating as we've grown up. For example, my wife is of Italian heritage from New Jersey. I'm a laid-back Southern boy, originally from Alabama, who moved to Texas at age 18. It was shocking for me to learn that family members could scream and shout at one another, as my wife's family might occasionally do, and still love each other. Based on the way I was raised, I assumed that people who loved one another didn't have conflict. Everyone in my family did his or her own thing, and if we disagreed with someone, we just stayed quiet about it. In that world, we never crossed one another. Psychologists call this fight or flight. My wife, Denise, is a fighter, and I grew up being a flighter. We had to learn how to communicate. Fortunately for us, our core values are the same, and we have been happily married for 33 years. Much like our marriage, your team members may come from different cultures and have different values. However, as the leader of the organization, you're responsible for creating the right environment for a sense of community to prosper. Leadership is essential for building community. In order to transform your organization, you'll have to build a foundation on leadership. As leadership expert John Maxwell reminds us, everything rises and falls on leadership. Before leaders are able to change their culture to create community in their organization, they must first learn to be better leaders. Leadership is effectively communicating your vision. Phenomenal leadership is creating a community experience that inspires the team to implement. In order to accomplish that, leaders need two things. We must have a meaningful, compelling vision, and we must learn to communicate well. In their phenomenal book, Beyond Entrepreneurship, Turning Your Business into an Enduring Great Company, Jim Collins and the late William C. Lazier underscore the need for communication. They point out an unfortunate fact. Many company leaders don't communicate. Not that they can't, they just don't. Collins and Lazier have a lot to say about vision, too. 1. Vision forms the basis of extraordinary human effort. 2. Vision provides a context for strategic and tactical decisions. 3. Shared vision creates cohesion, teamwork, and community. 4. Vision lays the groundwork for the company to evolve past dependence on a few key individuals. Finally, they say that to become great, a company must progress past excessive dependence on one or a few key individuals. The vision must become shared as a community. Every team needs a compelling vision, Too many organizations have a vision statement that was cooked up in an off-site leadership retreat, but has no real meaning to the team. Some companies even frame their vision statement and proudly hang it on the wall in the lobby. The problem is that not even the receptionist who sits 10 feet away from it every day could tell you what it says, much less what it means, or, more important, what it has to do with him or her personally. There is no connection with how it affects the individual lives of the team. Even when leaders have a clear vision, the more difficult part is communicating that vision to the team. We seem to have difficulty communicating effectively today. For one thing, technology continues to change how we communicate with one another, or better said, how we attempt to communicate. The digital age has created a false sense of connection that has fostered the separateness many feel, even though there is something wonderful about a soldier across the world being able to see his baby being born via Skype. Along with rapid changes in technology, there are also differences in how millennials and baby boomers communicate. Older people may prefer to talk over the phone, whereas younger people prefer to text. Personality styles come into play as well. We are all wired a little differently, and therefore communicate differently. Many different religious and family values exist in today's workplace, and also play a part in the communication gap. All of us hear with a different set of ears, and we see with different colored glasses. Community is the answer to bringing together all these diverse types of people, as it is the ultimate form of communication. Leadership can communicate most effectively in the context of community. When a group of people feel like they belong to one another, they feel cared for, and they believe that the vision is worth sacrificing for. They will go the extra mile for the company. There's no stopping a group of people who not only have the same vision and values, but feel like they belong to one another and know their team has their back. If you think about the word community for a moment, it really means communicating in unity. John Maxwell wrote a book titled, "Everyone Communicates, Few Connect." Communicating is just one part of the equation. Unity is the other part. It's only when we are truly connecting that we're really unified. Or better put, when we're unified, we connect better. A few years ago, as a participant in John Maxwell's highest-level leadership group, Exchange, I sat with the group in a Delta Airlines hangar as John interviewed Ed Bastian, CEO of Delta Airlines. Little did we know that the surprise experience that is always a part of Exchange would have us boarding a chartered jet to fly us from Atlanta to the Country Music Hall of Fame in Nashville to hear radio celebrity Dave Ramsey speak. Dave Ramsey is a business owner and leader who has built a phenomenal culture of community among his 500-plus person company. One reason his team members have unity is that they communicate regularly. Every Monday morning, the entire group has a huddle for an hour. Many of them are paid by the hour, so you can imagine what the weekly investment is for that meeting. You'll find I stress throughout this book that there is no escaping meeting on a regular basis when you're building a team or a community. You cannot communicate effectively if you avoid meetings. In Nashville that night, Dave shared what he called the 5 enemies of unity. 1. Poor communication. 2. Gossip. 3. Unresolved disagreements. 4. Lack of shared purpose. 5. Sanctioning incompetence. When team members feel a sense of community, everyone has shared goals and shared values. When that happens, everyone is pulling in the same direction, getting more done. When the team is free from the friction that comes from hidden agendas, backstabbing, and outright lies that often exist in the corporate world, team members will tend to be more open, honest, and engaged, and therefore more productive. That doesn't mean there won't be conflict. Just like in any loving family, there will be disagreements and even healthy arguments. When you get any group of human beings together, there will be conflict. As Dave Ramsey also likes to say, Leadership is easy until people get involved. In any group of people, false assumptions can be made about intentions, but when we know we can trust one another and that we are all after the same goal, we can engage in healthy conflict. Without regular communication, we won't have unity. Author Patrick Lencioni, a highly respected and sought-after leadership expert with immense experience in organizational development, declares in his book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, not finance, not strategy, not technology. It is teamwork that remains the ultimate competitive advantage, both because it is so powerful and so rare. The 5 dysfunctions of a team that Lencioni describes in his book are 1. Absence of trust. 2. Fear of conflict. 3. Lack of commitment. 4. Avoidance of accountability. 5. Inattention to results. And in his book, The Advantage, Why Organizational Health Trumps Everything Else in Business, Patrick takes it a step further by proclaiming that organizational health is the ultimate competitive advantage. He writes that an organization that is healthy has minimal politics, minimal confusion, high morale, high productivity, and low turnover, and says once organizational health is properly understood and placed into the right context, it will surpass all other disciplines in business as the greatest opportunity for improvement and competitive advantage. He even maintains that organizational health is far bigger and more important than mere culture. Organizational health, Patrick says, is about making a company function effectively by building a cohesive leadership team, establishing real clarity among those leaders, communicating that clarity to everyone within the organization, and putting in place just enough structure to reinforce that clarity going forward. www.tablegroup.com/organizational-health. Again, leadership is effectively communicating your vision. Bill Beckham, one of my early mentors, taught me that vision plus vision equals division. When 2 people on a team have different visions, agendas soon develop. And if those visions are not reconciled, the team becomes divided on issues. My contention is that building community is the next step beyond organizational health. Healthy communication is the first level, belonging is the second, and true community is the ultimate level. This book will help you establish a vision for your organization, and more important, it will help you communicate that vision more effectively. Hopefully to the point that you and your team can enjoy a culture of genuine community. As you move toward that end, you can reap the associated benefits. A happy, engaged, inspired team. Happy, devoted, loyal customers. Bigger, healthier profits. How community changed my life. Several years ago, I would go to church every Sunday. And although the sermon was nice, and sometimes even really meaningful, something was missing. There didn't seem to be any real-life change. It was stale religion. This book isn't about church or religion, but what happened to me that became instructive in business. On Tuesday nights, we had home group, in which a small band of church members met at someone's home, and we sat in a circle. Kenny played the guitar. Jim was collecting money to help someone fix her car. Elise was babysitting my son in the other room. Real ministry was happening. One had a prayer, one had a song, and one had a message. This group belonged to one another. This was true community. It was rare air. Unfortunately, many businesses have gone stale and don't enjoy this feeling of belonging. We go through the motions, but the joy and fulfillment of interacting with one another seems to be missing. Work has become meaningless, and when that happens, team members become disengaged. We talk a lot from the front of the room, send a plethora of emails, write memos, and have lots of meetings, but it's mostly a one-way conversation. Many leaders do a poor job of communicating. Don't get me wrong, Large group meetings are important to inspire and to teach, and of course memos and messages are important too. But if leaders want their employees to implement their ideas, they need...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?